Dear Commissioner Kos, dear Marta, dear Małgorzata, dear Dr. Kevin Casas-Samora, my dear Belarusians, I'm very excited to be here at this high-level conference and to see so many friends and colleagues and champions of democracy in one room. Despite a serious agenda today, I really feel like meeting a family before Christmas. And I want this event, just like Christmas Eve, to bring Belarusian people hope for a better future. I'm grateful to all who made this conference possible. It is the European Parliament's delegation for relations with Belarus, led by our dear Małgorzata Hosiewska, our tireless advocate in the European Parliament. Just recently, we campaigned together for awarding Andrzej Poczobut with the Sakharov Prize, and I'm grateful to delegation, special rapporteurs, and all friends like Andrzej Halicki, Mariusz Kamiński, Sergei Lagodinsky, Danius Žalimas, who supported this decision. I also want to thank Vice Presidents Eva Kopacz and Nikolai Shtafanutsa for Parliament's strong and principled position. You clearly distinguish between the Belarusian people and Lukashenko's regime and between Belarus and Russia. And you understand so well that without free and democratic Belarus, there will be no safe and peaceful Europe. Last year, Belarusian Democratic Forces signed a memorandum with Roberta Metsola, where we agreed that our common mission is to bring Belarus to Europe. And I'm sure that one day, Belarusian delegation elected in free and fair elections will have its own seats in this chamber. Also, I want to personally thank Commissioner Kos, who became my personal friend and inspiration for many Belarusians. Your energy, Marta, inspires many, and we always say that we need more. We need European Union to be proactive, not reactive, and I think that you are embodiment of this approach. In recent years, the European Commission and DG INEST team became our main partners and allies. And our cooperation is not just symbolic, it is very practical. Last month, we held a senior official meeting with the Commission and all Member States to discuss needs for our media, our human rights defenders, cultural and educational initiatives. And as we expect more releases of political prisoners soon, we hope for Commission's continued support for our human rights defenders in the future. With the help of the European Union, we continue building strong democratic institutions, trusted and supported by people that represent alternatives to Lukashenko regime. The Commission clearly understands that supporting our movement is also investment into our security. The stronger Belarusian society, the weaker is Lukashenko and Putin's presence in Belarus. I want to thank the European External Action Service and to the High Representative Kaja Kallas, who will join us later today. Her strong stance for Ukraine, Moldova, for Belarus shows that Europe will never be on the sidelines anymore. The European Union must engage, involve and interfere, and we must win. Yes, back in 2020, we all were not prepared for democratic revolution. Neither European Union, not Russia, not the regime. Maybe only Belarusians were, but it wasn't enough at that moment. I remember my first meetings here in Brussels, and I felt cautiousness from our partners. Or maybe, we shouldn't interfere into Belarusian internal politics, let not tease Russia, all these messages. And Belarus was still largely seen as part of the Russian sphere of influence. But since then, I'm sure it has changed forever. The European Union is not just watching anymore, it is fighting for itself and for neighborhood. This is what the European Union did in Moldova, and it won despite the massive Russian obstruction, and I'm sure that it will win in Belarus too. The European Union must be a player to guard its own interests. Leaving Belarus one-to-one with Russia means giving space for Russia's aggression, provocations and hostility, and vice versa. A democratic, independent European Belarus means stability and safer eastern flank. Therefore, we strongly advocate that at the ongoing peace talks on Ukraine, the European Union must be presented, because it's not only about Ukraine, but the entire European Union's neighborhood. The peace agreement will define the future of Belarus, Moldova and Caucasus too. But regardless of the direction these peace talks might go, Belarus will remain Europe. And it is the European Union who will play the biggest role in Belarus in the future. I am confident that being at the table, the European Union will speak on our behalf too, and say that Russia must leave not only Ukraine, but also Belarus with its troops and nuclear weapons, and let us decide our future ourselves. We must be ready for this new window of opportunities, and we must prepare for post-Lukashenko Belarus already now. This window, when it opens, might be very short and very narrow. That is why a few years ago we started an important work to develop a vision of new Belarus, post-Lukashenko Belarus. And here let me warmly greet Kevin Casas-Samora and International IDEA that became our main partner in this uneasy but very necessary task. During the last years, we gathered the best Belarusian and foreign experts that had similar experiences of reforms in their countries, and we want to learn not only from their successes, but also from their mistakes, from Poland and Lithuania, Estonia and Finland, Ukraine and Moldova. For example, Yuri Barabash, who was recently appointed a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, worked on this project from the shelter in Ukraine under Russian bombings. And here I want to praise the work of my advisor, Anatoly Bedko, actually a member of the last democratic parliament of Belarus. He came up with the whole idea of developing a new constitution and draft laws and gathered such a brilliant team of experts. And this is already the second presentation of this package. The previous one took place last year. And my special thanks go to Danius Žalimas and Michal Kobosko for helping to organize it. The idea behind the new legislation is simple: to stabilize democracy, to dismantle corruption, relaunch a justice system that serves people but not the government, and bring Belarus closer to Europe, to make sure that dictatorship will never repeat in Belarus. We should not only dream about the future. Before building a house, we must first design it and create the blueprints. Today's event is about exactly that, about Belarusian house in the European neighborhood. This is what we call the positive alternative, and it is part of our campaign, European Roadmap for Belarus. Very often, people don't believe that democratic changes in Belarus is possible or that the European Union will accept us at all. We must show that it is possible, and we show step by step what has to be done. We know that the credit of trust for a new government will be very limited, and reforms will need to be carried very quickly. Today, Lukashenko's laws are adapted to Russia's norms or are simply copied from the Russian ones. But Belarus belongs to Europe, and our legislative tradition goes back hundreds of years to the Statute of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. And we are now not building something from zero, we just returning to our roots. We drafted all these laws in accordance with the Copenhagen criteria to make our legislation fit the European Union norms. This will make the process of the Euro integration quicker. The positive alternative is also the answer to our need to work with Belarusians inside Belarus in a situation of total control and ongoing repression. When we first presented the draft law on lustration, it became a bestseller among Lukashenko's officials. Of course, it's about their future. And before the draft, the regime could speculate and intimidate officials with the prospect of change of power. With this publication, we reduced officials' fear of change and deepened the split within the elites. And finally, there is yet another important aspect of our legislative work. By drafting laws, we are learning to identify what matters most, to find political compromises, to involve Belarusians in building our common house. That is why all prepared drafts are discussed in the Coordination Council, our proto-parliament, and I hope this work will continue after new elections of Coordination Council in May. I really do believe that more people participate in this process today, the faster and more effectively the reforms will take place tomorrow. So, dear friends, we must fight for change today, but also prepare for the future. You must remember that all dictatorships collapse, always. And usually they collapse when nobody expected. So what matters is what comes next. And that depends on the society and our readiness to act at the right moment. We are not just observers of the situation, we are all participants of historic events for the region and for the whole of Europe. And I ask all of us not to lose this chance. And of course, let's stand for Ukraine, for Belarus, and for Europe. Thank you. May I give one more technical issue? We are really grateful for interpretation today, thanks to the European Union, but I have to say to our Belarusian participants that the translation from and to only Belarusian language. There is no Russian interpretation today. Thank you.